You're watching Slingshot The Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power. And welcome back to Season 2. We're so excited to be here as we continue with Slingshot The Podcast and all of the exciting episodes and content we have to come. Well, today's first episode of the new season is entitled Fight the Power. So, Charles Gregory, you know that we name these episodes after song titles.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're coming back. This is our first episode coming back for the new year.
Yeah, woohoo.
And as we ended 2025, you know, we were talking about all the current events and things that were going on in the world to close up 2025.
Yeah.
Lots of wins and celebrations.
Back by popular demand, as they say. Yeah.
So happy to be back for Season 2.
Yeah, happy to be back. Shout out to Slingshot The Podcast, man.
You know, podcasts don't always last multiple years.
Yeah.
So coming back for
this
Season
year
2.
too, right?
Season
Year
2.
3 bigger. Year 4 taking over.
There we go.
Year 5 we already getting people. We becoming a pack. That's how that works for sure. Yeah.
Well, today's episode is entitled Fight the Power. And as we always do, you know, Charles Gregory likes to sing a lyric or two.
Let's see what we got here.
Yeah.
All right. Fight the power. Come on, here we go.
the power.
It's from Terminator X, right? From the heart, it's a start. A work of art to revolutionize, make a change, nothing strange. People, we are the same. No, we're not the same because we don't know the game. What we need is awareness. We can't get careless. You say what it is, my beloved. Let's get down to business. Mental self-defense, fitness. Don't rush the show. You got to go for what you know. Make everybody see in order to fight the power set B. Let me hear you say, fight the power. Yeah, if
Terminator X,
yeah, I
Flavor
know,
Flav,
right?
Chuck
Terminator
D.
X. Yeah, for sure.
That was 1989.
Wow, now I feel old again.
1989. We were in high school.
Yeah, in high school,
1989.
it was the beats, the music, the everything about that. It was the cadence, the drums, the horn, everything in that song right there is something that you could never forget. Amazing.
And it was part of Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
Do the right thing.
Do
That's
the right
right.
thing. So it was the theme music for that film.
Yeah. I think it starts like that with the music.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Now I want to see Do the Right Thing when I get back. Shout out to Spike Lee. Spike Lee been doing some things. Spike Lee and Denzel came out with a new movie. You know, so shout out to them. Shout out to Black excellence. That's all I like to say. Yeah.
As we round out Black History Month, this is the last day of Black History Month as you're watching this episode air. So shout out to Black History Month and Black excellence.
That's right.
You know, I don't know about you, Charles Gregory, but Black History Month is usually triggering for me every year. It's triggering for me because I find myself having to defend the right for it to exist.
Interesting.
Right? And be a month. I find that there's so much education that is needed to be provided for folks during Black History Month.
For sure.
I think the comment sections on social media are wild.
For sure, yeah. Wow.
So many people asking, why isn't there a White History Month? Or why isn't there an Irish History Month?
We're living in it.
Why isn't that?
Yeah.
That is the answer.
We're living in it.
Every day is your History Month.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think my perspective is I can care less if you like it or not. I mean, look, we here. Black history is history, whether you like it or not, and we making history. I mean, Slingshot, the podcast is making history, you know. Black history. I mean, this is what it is, and whether you like it or not, we here.
Yeah.
Unapologetically, I could care less about them. You got to stop looking at them comments.
I can't
Stop
help
looking at them
it.
comments,
I can't
man.
help it.
Stop it.
You would think I had like a monetized account in which I'm making money off of responding, but I'm not.
Out of all people, you need to stop
I
looking
know.
at
But
them
if I have a moment, if they catch me with a minute, I'm going to respond.
Yeah.
This is the one that gets me the most.
Okay.
People not understanding the Southern strategy.
Mm.
And when they say, oh, well, you know, the Klan was founded by the Democrats and the Republicans are the one that freed the slaves.
Okay.
This is the one that gets me.
Okay.
Because these are folks who have no idea about the Southern strategy.
Yeah.
And so if you think today in 2026 that the current day Klan members are voting for Democrats like Kamala Harris, then you don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, when we talk about history, people have to know their history, right? Or it becomes his story, meaning you start to create certain things that's just isn't accurate, just isn't correct. And so when you start putting out those things, if you say it loud enough, certain people believe you, right? And so in order to combat that, we have to be just as loud. That's my position. I try my best not to get razzled and frustrated over these people, and just kind of say, okay, you got it. You believe what you want to believe, but I know over here, we good.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Black history in my household wasn't just a month for sure. It was every day. We were learning about what was going on.
Every day, yeah.
So something else that made some news as of late.
Okay.
The BAFTA Film Awards, BAFTA, right? The BAFTA Film Awards. Did you get to watch any of that?
I didn't, but I did see some of the little clips of some of the announcements and the talking points that people had. So I thought that was I always say that I'm going to go back and watch everything, because doing that, there's so much stuff on TV right now.
Right. Well, it's the controversy right now.
Yeah.
The controversy, there was an activist, filmmaker, who has Tourette's.
Yep.
Tourette syndrome, and he was invited to the BAFTA Awards to bring attention, right? To bring attention to what's going on with folks that are living with Tourette's and thriving with Tourette's. And he happened to interrupt the broadcast with one of his tics during the moment in which Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were on stage to present an award. And his tick had him come out with the N-word.
Right.
And so there's lots of chatter and controversy right now online about, how is this possible? And are we supposed to just let this one slide because he has a disability?
Yeah, do we give it a pass because he has, a mislabel? I was working with this guy. Shout out to, I think his name, can't think of his name right now, but, a friend of mine was in a wheelchair, and he hated the word disabled, right? So he always say mislabeled. So we're the mislabeled community, and so I always use that word. Shout out to him. I'm sorry, I can't forget. I can't remember his name. I didn't see him in so long, but he was a content creator, a producer, and he always said the mislabeled community, right? And so when it comes to this gentleman, from a particular community, right, Tourette's, I'm not very versed with that type of background in Tourette syndrome. But to me, it seems as if the outburst that I would normally, or that one would normally say, right, with their tics, it's words that they generally are familiar with or use constantly. And so that's kind of burnt into your head, right? So if we're going to argue or decide to give someone a pass, we have to say, okay, well, we understand that he's part of a community and we want to give him a pass because he has Tourette's. But where did he get the word from? How often is that word thrown around in his community, right? Because he could have literally said anything. And why did he say it at that particular moment, right? And so we have to question that and really, peel back the layers and say, okay, if we want to give him a pass, let's have a discourse first. Because I am, pretty, I have a soft spot when it comes to certain communities, so I get it. And I knew someone with Tourette's and literally would say the most horrible words sometimes, but they were around. Some of their friends would say these words all the freaking time, right? So that's generally where you would get those words from, because it's burnt in your head, right? And so if that's the case, then I need to question, who are you around that speaks so freely in using certain terms that is burnt in your head for you to say as a tick?
Yeah. I mean, they say that, the neurons, it fires off, and it typically does give the worst possible words come out when this happens. I think that a lot of the responsibility lies on BAFTA, because they, number one, didn't immediately apologize to the presenters, being Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo. They had to wait on an apology. They had the opportunity to not air that, right? Because as they were filming that, and they just chose to keep that into the filming of the awards. So, there's some blame to go around, and it mostly lies with BAFTA, who did not set this up for success.
Yeah. I will say, just to kind of give them some space, a little cushion. Maybe they felt that if they put a pause on him, or as they say, kind of like filtered it, then it would be taking away his agency. Right. That said, when Will Smith had the opportunity to smack Chris Rock, a lot of people didn't see that, right? Because they had a little cushion. Especially as a rebroadcast, you definitely didn't see it, right? And so it's just one of those things we have to just kind of question. I always say, what is the agenda? What was the agenda? What was the motive? And then we can go from there.
Well, shout out to the Tourette's community. As there's lots of harm to go around. And one of my favorite people to follow on social media is Dr. Stacey Patton. And I'm going to read what she put on a long post that she put about this. About this topic. Okay, she said, 2 truths can exist. The tick may have been involuntary, and the harm was not imaginary. Right? So there was still harm done to a community, being Black folks in Black History Month at an award presenting. She goes on to say that it's deeply manipulative to suggest that Black people must suspend their own traumatized nervous systems in order to prove that we're compassionate people, right? That we have to give up on things that trigger us and traumatize us in order to prove that we're compassionate people. We're always asked to prove lots of things as a people.
I love
prove our love for this country. Prove that we're compassionate people. Prove that we can just get over it.
Well, Black folks always had to prove, that they were just as, right? We can't prove that we're better because we got in trouble for being better. Right. And so do your history, right? But we had to prove ourselves to be just as good or capable, right? When we knew we were already capable. A lot of times we had to dim our light to appease certain people of power, right? But what I will say is I think this is a great moment to say, if someone's watching the show, someone with Tourette's, or you part of the community, let us know, leave a comment, let us know your thoughts, or if you feel like it was something that can be explored, it can be have more of a conversation about this. Do you think that he knew exactly what he were doing? And again, I'm not part of the community, but sometimes I wonder, again, the word choice, right? Is it intentional? Not necessarily the tick's intentional, but is the word choice intentional? And sometimes I had that question. But and let us know. Again, we always ask for information, to be informed, be enlightened, because we don't know everything. And so if you have any information on it, let us know. Leave a comment. Let us know.
Well, I know what was on purpose, and that was Donald Trump or his administration or whoever he says it was, that posted on his social media page likening the Obamas to apes.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was wild.
We talk about fight the power. We got to fight the power in the White House.
That was, I think for me, I wasn't surprised. It didn't surprise me at all. It was one of those things where it was posted, and at first I was like, he's trolling again. I thought he was just like playing. He was trolling. And when I found out that he said he wasn't going to remove it, then I was like, whoa, this is serious? Like, I thought it was one of those fake news, fake information, memes or posts. But no, it was just like, wow. And he didn't want to remove it. And so I'm not surprised, because that's something that has been circulating through, certain channels, or the MAGA channels of calling the first lady, certain names, which is very unfortunate. But I am not surprised of anything that he does at all.
There's no surprises.
Yeah.
It was for me to look onto my social media page and and see that video pop up. I was one of those people who shared it. There's so many people who are like, don't share this, don't give it the light of day, don't share it. And I'm of the mindset that, no, see what the President of the United States is posting about a former President of the United States and the First Lady.
That's right.
Watch, see what he's doing. Watch this. Otherwise, we brush it under the rug like it didn't exist. So, yeah, and then he blamed it on, someone else on the staff, but then said that nobody has been terminated because of it, because you can't terminate yourself.
How about
right?
that, right?
You can't terminate yourself. All right, well, we're going to come back and rejoin us. We're going to come back, take a little break, and we're going to talk about Black excellence, because when I think about Black History Month, I really want to talk about the excellence, not so much all of the drama and the traumatization that is put on us during Black History Month. So we'll be right back. Stick around. You're watching Slingshot the Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power, at New Millennium Multimedia Studios. All right, we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. It's Slingshot the Podcast, and this week's episode is entitled Fight the Power. So we're coming off of the break, and we were talking about Black History Month and all the things that traumatize us during Black History Month. But the true meaning of Black History Month is to celebrate our excellence, right? Celebrate Black excellence. And there's been nothing more magical in these last couple of weeks than seeing the Black excellence at the Olympic Games. Olympic Games have been incredible for Black folks this Black History Month.
That's right. That's right.
What have you been watching? What have you been paying attention to?
Yeah, I've been paying attention to a lot. Shout out to there's a few people, bobsledders. I forgot the young lady's name. They call it the Unibob or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The monobob.
The monobob. That's what it is. And so shout out to her. We have ice hockey. Sister. Shout out to the sisters. Sisters, the first. You're talking about history, being historic with one, just being a sister on the team. Yeah. But two, scoring the goal.
So you talk about Lila Edwards.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So shout out to her. So that's some of the people that I was super excited about. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You all know Slingshot the Podcast. You know that I'm an ice hockey fan, right? I'm an ice hockey fan.
Gotta get shout out to
shout
Dad
to my
real
dad.
quick. There you
got me into it, right? Got me into it, And to see Lila Edwards be number one, part of Team USA ice hockey, but score a goal and now also win a gold medal was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And so she comes from Wisconsin. She's a Wisconsin Badger. And they have the Frozen Four and all run through Wisconsin and some other states, some other schools that really have big programs as it relates to ice hockey. So great for her, and also great for DEI, right?
Yeah.
Diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. You can't become an Olympic champion at something if you don't have access to it.
That's right. I mean, there's a couple others I do want to give like honorable mention. Like, I was talking to you earlier about, the sister that did the first backflip, right?
Oh, yeah.
What's her name?
Donna Lee.
Yes. And so during that time when she performed it, it was illegal, right? Illegal, air quotes. But you have a gentleman who did it and won gold by doing something creative or something like that, right? And so that was interesting to see, but we have to give her flowers. Right. She actually has a book out right now too, for the little girls, and just to be who you want to be. So that was pretty cool too.
Representing France, she represented France.
That's right. I got a couple more honorable mentions too. We got shout out to Clarissa Shields. She just the GWOAT, sister. She just had a fight this past weekend, and she's still undefeated. She fought Franchon, I think Franchon, call it. She cruised his earn and she beat her up. It was good. I mean, it shows how much of a dynamic athlete that she is. So that was pretty cool too.
Alana Myers-Taylor, the most decorated Black athlete, male, female, the most decorated Black athlete in Winter Olympic history. Wow. She finally got her gold medal. She had been waiting on that.
Shout out to her. Yeah.
Finally got her gold in the monobob. That's that one.
Monobob. Yeah, that's right. Monobob. Yeah.
So shout out to Black excellence during the Winter Olympics.
Yeah. I got one more since
Yeah.
we're talking about snow, right? This brother, I gotta pull this brother up because he had the opportunity to be the first to win. Let me pull him right. He was the first to win in the X Games, and this brother name is Zed Powell, and he was the first black athlete to win gold in the Winter X Games. Amazing, amazing, amazing. The first, and if you see the routine, you need to look them up, ladies and gentlemen. If you see the routine, it's nuts. I look at it and say, how do they perform at such a dynamic elite level on a snowboard?
Right.
Right, but once you see how he performed, and it just blew my mind. And he's a brother, so kudos to him. Yeah, black excellence. You got to give him his shout out here for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, a lot has to be said as there, again, goes back to access to these sports.
Access.
Right.
Access.
So to see the Jamaican with the skis.
Yeah, he did
Cross-country skiing.
Cross-country skiing,
Yeah.
long
6 foot
distance.
6. 6 foot 6.
6'6", yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. Again, black excellence. I don't know if they want to be considered. Some of them don't consider themselves black, right? But
I think he definitely considered himself.
yeah,
black.
we claiming them anyway, Yeah, kudos to him too.
Well, it does. It matters. I mean, I know that I'm an ice hockey fan because I had access to that, right?
Yeah.
It's just part of access in my family. Yeah. I'm also a former figure skater when I was little, right? So I was used to being on the ice.
Yeah.
So it's all about, can you get that access so that when I see it, I can achieve it. So think about all the young black girls who watched the Winter Olympics this year and said, I can actually do this.
I can do that
because I saw it.
But that's the thing, right? So when we talk about having access, right, or the ability to get in spaces that you aren't normally in, you don't have a push to do that unless you see people who look like you that's empowering you to do that, right? And so unless you see someone, let's just go to the first black president, right? Barack Obama. I didn't hear a lot of black boys and girls say, oh, one day I'm going to be president. It was so far out of reach. When you seen him, I didn't see I saw so many young, black girls and boys say, one day I want to be president, Barack Obama, and now you had the women yo, I want to be the first president, Kamala Harris, she didn't become vice president, right? But the potential to be was always there, and I think that's what's encouraging to see. When you see your likeness in certain spaces, then you say, oh, that barrier isn't there.
When you see it, you can achieve it.
That's right.
But you need to see it.
That's right.
You need to see it.
That's right.
Speaking of young folks and what they get to see, I think in this moment, right, as we're talking about an episode entitled Fight the Power.
Fight the power.
It's going to be the children in this moment that need to fight the power to protect all things that's going on in the world, I think, in this moment. Historically, it has been young people at the forefront of civil rights movements and others that have really changed movements, grew movements. I think about Congressman John Lewis, who just coming off of what would have been his 86th birthday not too long ago, and knowing how young he was, organizing his first protests before he was even able to drive.
Right.
So it's the children that will lead us. Also want to give respect to Joanne Bland, a historic figure that I didn't learn in grade school. I never learned about Joanne Bland. But when she passed away, I happened to learn more about her. And she is someone who, at the age of 12 years old, was arrested in civil disobedience and protest against all the things that were happening as it relates to fighting for our civil rights. And she was part of Bloody Sunday in Selma, right? As a 12-year-old. So we can't forget that the children will lead us in these moments that we're experiencing now. I think about ICE, what's happening with ICE, and those folks coming into Pennsylvania more heavily, particularly what happened most recently in Bucks County as it relates to children leaving class early, wanting to protest, wanting to exercise their First Amendment rights, and then being met with law enforcement who, not so much respecting their First Amendment rights to protest. So it is the children that will lead us.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of the ages of when they got active, of Martin Luther King and
Yeah.
Malcolm X, they were young.
They were young.
Yeah, they were young. I mean, I believe I Had a Dream. I think he was at the most like 39 or something like that. But he started his whole initiative at like 21 or something like that, 21 or something. Malcolm X, the same thing. You know, he was in jail, came out and started, you know, really preaching. He was preaching in jail though.
Yeah.
But you know, he went from a quote unquote petty criminal to someone who uplifted the community. And most people who are on the front lines are the young generals, right? And that's because they have the energy. That's why I always say that the older generation must find a bridge to connect with the younger generation. We can't be on the front lines anymore, right? You know, but we can give the information, we can give the wisdom because we're there, the institutional knowledge for the young ones who can be on the front lines. We supposed to support, and that's true community. I think too often, you know, we have a lot of gatekeepers. And they don't want to pass the baton. They want to keep the baton and die with the baton, which is the problem here. So,
and you hear me say all the time, leading a voting rights organization.
Yeah.
I say it's my job to organize myself out of a job. Right, that's my job right now is to organize myself out of this job and to pass the baton to younger folks.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to come right back. We're going to take a break. We're going to come right back for our final segment of this episode, and we're going to talk about what is going on with the Trump administration. As we're kicking off our first episode of Season 2, Slingshot the Podcast. We'll be right back. Stick around. You're watching Slingshot the Podcast. This is more than just a podcast. This is a movement to inspire and motivate and mobilize. This is for those whose voices have been unheard, misunderstood, undervalued, and underserved. We're going to talk about sports, culture, entertainment, and we're going to use this to build power in our communities. All right, we're back. Welcome back to Slingshot the Podcast Season 2. It's all about today, fight the power. Well, who's got some power right now? The Trump administration has some power right now.
They got all the power right now.
A lot of power. They don't have it all because the power is within the people. Let's not get that twisted. The power is within the people.
Power to the people, yeah, for sure.
But I will say, you know, I'm one of those folks that don't like the word. I don't like to use the word "but." I'm an "and" person. And. But this is a "but." But there is legislation currently moving through the halls of Congress, Washington, D.C. They would absolutely disrupt our freedom to vote. Have you heard about the SAVE Act?
I heard about that, where you have to have like ID and all of that. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? They're labeling this as a voter ID bill.
Yeah.
And that's BS. This is not a voter ID bill. So let me tell you what the SAVE Act is all about.
For sure.
All right. The SAVE Act is not a voter ID bill. The SAVE Act is a tactic to suppress the vote. It is a poll tax. It is a way to disenfranchise the most impacted communities in our country and stop them from voting ahead of the midterm elections. The SAVE Act, the Save America Act, the MEGA Act, all these acts are nothing more than voter suppression. So if you're seeing anything on your timelines saying that this is a voter ID law or bill, that's BS. That is not what this is about. It is about finding ways to stop people from voting. And always it's about stopping the most historically disenfranchised folks from voting. And the SAVE Act is going to not just impact those communities this time around, it's going to come for everybody. The SAVE Act is coming for everybody. Rural, urban, suburban, white, black, married, not married, adopted, trans, it's coming for everybody.
Yeah. Returning citizens.
Everybody. Everyone is impacted. That's even military folks that won't be able to vote by mail the way that they have. So the SAVE Act, please don't buy the lies, the misinformation and disinformation. It's a sales pitch in the moment that this is a voter ID law. It is not. It's just a way and a tactic to disenfranchise the most vulnerable communities and others. Yeah. So, as a voting rights organization, New Pennsylvania Project, part of what we do is help Pennsylvanians get registered to vote.
That's right.
If the
do an
SAVE
excellent
Act,
job. I want to shout out your team, you and your team though, because y'all really are in the streets. So shout out to your team, and you guys are unapologetically down for the people and down to get them to vote. And I love to see that. So shout out to your team. Shout out to your team.
Thank you. And I'll say this, our team that is doing this nonpartisan voter registration will not exist if the SAVE Act passes in the Senate, because it stops third-party voter registration and online voter registration if the MEGA Act goes through along with the SAVE Act. So it stops organizations like ours from actually doing voter registration, of which we've helped more than 50,000 Pennsylvanians get registered to vote in the last few years.
That's great. How can someone watching this be a part of, join a team to make sure this doesn't happen? How can they do that? How can they?
So there's advocacy that we all need to do. So number one, we say get registered to vote. That's a great thing. Yeah. The next thing we say is go out and cast a ballot. That's number two. Number three is your own agency, advocating for things, reaching out to elected officials that make promises to us and holding them accountable for the promises that they make. And in this moment, we all need to take some action. We all need to reach out to our U.S. senators. So Pennsylvanians, we have our junior and our senior, right? McCormick and Fetterman. Both of them need to be reached out to, and both of them need to hear from you that we need to have them vote no on the SAVE Act. Now, we already know that Senator McCormick is all about it. He said he's going to vote for it when it comes across his desk for a vote. John Fetterman, he said last year he was against it. He said some problematic things recently. I'm not really sure where he lands on this, so let's make phone calls to both of these individuals and let them know that the SAVE Act is nothing more than disenfranchisement of voters ahead of a midterm election. This is to suppress the votes. It's not about voter ID, because Pennsylvania already has voter ID laws on the books. They're successful. They're accurate. We're having safe and secure elections in the Commonwealth. Voter fraud is almost non-existent. I mean, you can't hardly even calculate it. Not only that, but right-wing, more conservative think tanks and institutes have done the studies. I'm talking about the Cato Institute. I'm talking about the Heritage Foundation. Both of these folks have said there's really no such thing as voter fraud. So this is a solution in search of a problem. There is no problem in this moment. Pennsylvanians are getting registered to vote who should. Pennsylvanians who are allowed to vote are voting, and no one else. And so we must stop the SAVE Act from becoming law.
With that said, there's nothing else left to be said. That's just, I love it.
But here's the thing to be said.
Sure.
So now it's passed the House.
Right.
It awaits the Senate. So here we are a few days ahead of maybe they could call this by the time this episode airs. Yeah. My understanding is it most likely will not be come out of committee or go to the Senate to vote, because we have some old school Republicans like Senator Thune and Mitch McConnell, who are saying that they're not sure they have the votes, and so they don't want to bring it to the floor for a vote if they don't have the votes. Mm-hmm. So I respect that. Yeah. Maybe there is some decorum left in the world of politics in this moment. And the damage is already done, though. The damage is already done.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? And you brought up a good point in talking about Mitch McConnell, because Mitch McConnell is the true traditional Republican. This new Republican thing.
MAGA Republicans.
Yeah, they MAGA Republicans. And I think, unfortunately, those who are on the Republican side that's truly trying to do the work get lumped into this nonsense, and so they are already villainized, right? And so, one can argue about the Democratic side too, right? The true traditional Democrat is a little different than what we have today. That's the leftist, right? But libertarian type of style, as they argue. But is all we can do is, I always tell people, do the right thing. Just do the right thing. Do what you. As I say, do unto others as you would like them to do to you, right? And so I think that, we got to keep advocating and making sure we get the word out to push. Yeah.
Well, like I said, the damage was already done when it passed the House, because a lot of people won't see what happens afterwards, and they'll assume that it became law, right? Because not everybody is still up on their civics and understanding how a bill becomes law. So the damage was done.
This is a bill. Yeah.
Sitting on Capitol Hill, right?
That's how I learned
I'm just everybody, we're going to have to go back to that. Everybody's going to have to watch it again. Recognize how a bill becomes law. Yeah. Well, as we close out here today, I also want to say, as we talked about Joanne Bland, and then remembering Congressman John Lewis on what had been his 86th birthday, We can't forget the passing of Jesse Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Just happened in the last week.
That's right.
And he's lying in. He's not going to lie in state because they're not going to allow that in Congress. But he is going to be lying in state in various other places across the country, Georgia and other places. So I know that Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania has said he will lower the flags to half-mast in honor of him on his last day of lying in state. So rest in power to the great Jesse Jackson.
Ancestor now.
He's joining he has joined the ancestors. And I had the pleasure to meet him in 2016, working on a campaign in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it was a great opportunity to spend some time with him. And he reminds us to keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive.
That's right.
All right. So as we close out today's episode, Season 2, Episode 1, thanks for being with us. As we close it out today, it's just a reminder to you to keep hope alive. And we can keep hope alive when we have access to the ballot and we vote. We have hope as long as we have the vote. And let's make sure we get out there on May 19th here in Pennsylvania. Cast your ballot in the primary election and keep hope alive. And with that, let's continue to fight the power. Thank you for being here today, Charles Gregory.
Love it. Thanks for having me.
All right. You were watching Slingshot the Podcast. Have a great day. I'm Kadida Kenner, and you're watching Slingshot the Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power.